to. Good afternoon. We have some handouts that we're passing out, and if you're here with somebody, share one, please. If you're not, then I'll be happy to give you another copy. There you go, sir. I want to thank you folks for coming in this afternoon. We're going to start recording in a moment or two as well. Now, this handout that I'm giving you from myself is strictly my opinions of how I run and operate dance parties, and they in no way reflect other people's opinions or ideas of how that works, but it's just what I've been doing for the last several years. So today, between John and I, you will hear some divergent views, I hope, and that's the whole idea. This is in no way meant to be a guide for you. It's just something that I've found works very well for myself. There you go. And we need 3 down here. Could you pass one down, please? Thank you. Hi, Dave. You guys here to intimidate me or what? Let's hope so. That's going to be hard for me then. Sir? Hi. There you go. There you go. You're welcome. Pardon me? Well, we have about 25 or 30 more copies to go. I have a couple more here. That's one. Yeah, one's from Otto and one is my ideas of things, but they're fairly similar, I guess. There you go, sir. Thank you. Anybody else need one? Okay. It's not plugged in? Or is it? I think it's plugged in. Oh, well, you're going to have to use it too, though. How many people are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. Should we get going? Are these things, are we on record now?
One. Ooh.
Here we go.
I'm on the air now.
All right. I think we can get started. It's a few minutes early. So we'll say good afternoon and welcome to the 36th CALLERLAB Convention. Today is state the date. Oh, actually, what's the day? The 5th? 6th? I'm always a day behind. And the name of this session is Dance Party Calling. And I am your name here. No, actually, Chris Pinkham, come from Hillsborough, New Hampshire, and my fellow panelist and associate today, I hope you all know, this is John Swindle. And thank you, John. And what we're here to do today is just to pass some ideas around, give you our versions of what we do at dance parties, and to field some questions and suggestions from the group, because right now I'm feeling slightly intimidated because all of everything I learned came from people sitting in the audience. So this is a different experience for me. And we want to let you know what we do for different dance parties. We will have some suggestions coming from the groups, because these are folks that I've known for years that do pretty much a complete business of doing dance parties for people that are abject beginners. And the whole idea of a dance party, as far as I'm concerned, is to promote fun and to be an entertainer and to not sweat the small stuff, because when you get right down to it, everything is small stuff as far as I'm concerned. When I do a dance party, I have a couple of things that I like to keep in mind. And one of them is what we call the KISS factor. And if you don't keep a dance party simple and you get carried away, then it turns into a lesson. And one of the things that I don't like to do is give lessons at a dance party. When I have a dance party, I expect people coming through the door to be 99% totally inexperienced. And by that I mean some of them have never been to a square dance, or their only experience with square dancing has been in the gym class when they were in 5th grade on a rainy day and they were forced to hold hands with a girl. And that was some pretty terrifying stuff from what I remember. So I want people to come in and be loose, be friendly, have some fun, and especially to laugh. And one of the things that I consider myself to be at a dance party is a Pied Piper. And I am an athletic person by nature. I've always been very active. I have a background in personal training and lifestyle consulting. So when I do a dance, one of the things that I work on the most is this is my best friend at a dance. If you take a wired mic and you're wired to the turntable all night, I think that you're doing your dancers a disservice, because this gets me onto the floor, it lets me help, it lets me correct, and it also lets me join in the fun too, because when I do a dance, I want to be out there, I want to be active, I want to get some exercise when I'm there as well, so I turn it into just as much fun as someone else coming to the event. And because I've never grown up and matured, I'm still a Peter Pan type, then this is the way I like to approach a dance. So if you don't have a wireless microphone, I would suggest that you head down to the vendors and talk to the Dillanders about purchasing one, because it will in fact become your best friend. And I do use a wireless mic at all of my dances, calling Western style squares as well as party dances. And the other thing I generally do at a dance is if there's a stage set up and the table's up on the stage, the first thing I do when I walk in the door is have them put the stage back down on the floor or let me work from the floor. I started this as a dancer. I like to consider myself to be a dancer still, and I want to be on the floor with dancers, and this is the best way to do that. So, I like to keep things nice and simple. I like to not sweat the small stuff, like the use of an incorrect hand. I try to correct with humor, not coming off as an instructor. And what it comes down to is things don't always need to be fixed. And I know that there are also some folks on the floor that would probably disagree with me a little bit. But at a dance party for beginners with people with no experience, I don't worry about timing a whole lot, because a lot of the events I do, there are some major height differentials between small children and adults, and it's nearly impossible with that height challenge to get everybody to be where they need to be at the exact moment. As far as I'm concerned, if they get to the right place, we're good, and that's as far as I take it. Just a couple of quick things for when someone contacts me about an event. I ask if this is a nonprofit or a for-profit group. If it's a nonprofit organization, then I have a different rate. I'm not very expensive when it comes to dealing with churches and other events. But if it's a private event, then I will charge a little more money. I also ask about the age or the profile of the group, and this will also determine what I need to charge for their services or for my service. Churches, families, Girl Scouts, fundraising charitable groups, I always give them special consideration. And when I know there's alcohol being served at an event, they also get very special consideration. The other thing I'd like to talk about very quickly before I go into what I do as a program, and then I'm going to turn this over to John before I do that, but if I'm contacted by email, one of the first things I do is pick up the phone and talk to these people personally. I never respond by email. I've even looked up their people's phone numbers through a directory to get to them by phone, because a lot of people email and they don't include a phone number. And the reason I do that is people appreciate the personal touch. And I like to talk to a person, get a feel for what they're looking for, and understand what they want for the night. And that cannot always be communicated well through a piece of paper or through your computer. Just talking to someone on the phone gives me a great way of dealing with them. It lets me communicate one-on-one. They get to know me, and I get to know them. And it works out well for me. So think about the personal touch, and it kind of brought me back to what Ed Foote was talking about this morning, and what can you do at a dance to make people happy? one of the first things I do after the first set is to make sure I walk the floor, shake hands with as many people as possible, meet and greet, thank them for coming to an event, and just let them know that I appreciate them being there. And it does enormous things for your public relations, and it does enormous things for the people that are attending your event because they appreciate the fact that a caller is taking a few moments to come onto the floor and talk to them, welcome them to the evening, and thank them for coming. So I'm going to hold off on what I do for a program, and I'm going to shift this over to John's shoulders for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and talk about what I do. And we have passed out something from Otto Wartman. He was thinking about being here and decided last fall not to, but he has some extremely valuable information on his handout, and mine is a little more limited, but I will get back to what I would like to chat about in a few minutes, and I'm going to turn this over to John, and then we will have some Q&A in a little bit. So, John?
I don't do any of that. No, I do basically
I told
what
you
he
this
does.
is divergent opinions
Yeah,
today.
I like to talk to them on the telephone. I like to shake hands with everybody that's there. But a party night for me is a first night class. I'm not worried about courtesy turns properly. I don't care about how they swing. They can arm swing or whatever. And I throw in a few extra things like rip and snorts, if y'all remember those. And Birdie in the Cage. Old singing calls, old figures. But basically mine is just a first night square dance class. But I try not to really teach. You know, you can get them through things without really teaching. But I do party nights, but I don't do them, more than my regular dances. I call more regular square dances than I do party nights. I just really started getting back into them because square dancing is dropping off, and there's not that many regular dances you can call anymore, and party nights are more profitable. And I have a lot of fun with them. And when you get asked back, you know what you did was good. And after I do a party night, I always like to send them a thank you note to thank them for allowing me to come in and do their dance. And that carries a lot of weight. I used to, this is not a party night, but I used to go to Bogalusa, Louisiana every year for a festival down there, and the little lady that we stayed with, we always sent her a bouquet of flowers or a potted plant or something after we got home in appreciation for what she did for us, putting us up. And this is very good for getting asked back. And I don't have a whole lot. I've learned already more than I knew. Just listening, always learning.
I know you know more than I do.
I've only been calling 5 years.
5 years? Holy smoke. Are you finished already? Whew. Stretching it. Okay. All right, well, thank you, John. We appreciate your time.
Well, I have no idea what people are wanting. Once we tell them what we do, then we can answer questions. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Maybe.
It's back on my shoulders again here. One of the things I try to do is be as flexible as possible with an event, and that flexibility allows me to tune the dance on the fly, on the moment, and get to people that may need a little help on the floor. But my programs are never set in stone until after the first 15 minutes. And the first 15 minutes of all of my party dancers are squares. And again, I'm going to start back on this. Get yourself a wireless mic. Get out on the floor with the dancers. You want to be one-on-one. You want to help them personally. I like to get involved. I took a niece to the playground the other day. We spent the whole time running the slides and the swings, and I almost got stuck in one of the tube slides because you have to bend very neatly at the waist to do it. But get involved with your folks. Be the Pied Piper, Be physical. My events are always athletic events. They're very physical. Show them what dancing and fitness are all about. And the bottom line for me is I'm still a kid at heart, and for me that's a healthier equation. So I run a very active evening. To me, it's about being an entertainer. It's not so much as being a dance master, because I am so far away from that. It's unbelievable. But I love the idea of being an entertainer, making people laugh, joking with them. I never tease. I never criticize. It's always about making people laugh and smile. And so as far as I'm concerned, the more successful you are as an entertainer, you're just going to be a better caller, and the more dance party bookings you get. In the last several years, I've done a shift away from Western-style square dancing, and I take on as many party dances as I can. And the reason I like to do that is because it allows me to put some variety into the program. I don't want to just be a square dance caller. I want to have some basic contras on my list, some basic fun dances, some basic American dances. Whatever floats the boat for people is what I want to do. A sample program is on this sheet that I handed out to you. Some people are going to disagree with me about that, but that's what's great about this country, is we can disagree with each other and still be friends. I always consider the big circle to be kind of a waste of time in a way. I find that they can be a little chaotic and a little unorganized, especially if the big circle gets to be a gigantic circle, and then there's a lot of problems, I think, with that. So I use the big circle only at the start of the night, and it's just to get people off their duffs onto the floor and organized in a large circle, and then I run the floor, count out groups of 8 people with partners, and put them into circles very quickly. So we start off in small circles before there's any music at all. And the reason I like to do that is from circles, it's very easy to teach the most basic part of square dancing. Circle lefts, circle rights, basic stars, do-si-dos. And as soon as that's done, I stop. And then I model a couple of squares around the floor so that people understand what the orientation is all about. And then we intro heads and sides, circles, half circles, heads, circles with other heads, sides with each other, etc., forward and back. And then arm turns with opposing dancers, because that will lead me to the next part of my dance. So with the arm turns and some small variations, we run squares for about 15 minutes, and then I stop. And the people that are still sitting around at that point and thinking about whether they want to stop being a wallflower, I say, let's go on the floor, just jump into any circle, and then I do the chicken dance. And the chicken dance is fun. It allows the kids to use the naughty lyrics, not the nice lyrics, and we have a great time. And I run the sets on the floor. I jump into the circles with them. I dance with the kids. We make sure that everybody's laughing. And before you know it, all the kids, regardless of age, are on the floor. And then we break. When we come back, I like to do a couple of very simple contras, and I'm going to credit the book that we get very quickly to Cal Campbell and his co-authors. If you don't have a copy of Dancing for Busy People at this point, shame on you. You should all run into the vendors next door and make sure you get a copy. I have had mine since the year you put it out, and I've barely scratched the surface of the book. There is so much material in there. You could literally go for years without repeating yourself at a dance party, and it goes from most basic to somewhat. They're not even difficult. Most of them are designed to be a community dance program. So that's my reference for most of the material. That's why I said most of what I learned, or all of what I learned, came from Cal and his associates. So when we come back from a quick break, because I believe that these are social events and they need to have they need to have people that can get a drink or a snack or whatever. So we break for about 5 minutes. I keep the music running. I let people know that there's still music available. And I say, when you hear the music stop, everybody back on the floor, and I'll limit a tune, and when it's off, we get people coming onto the floor. So when I come back, I like to introduce people to contras, and we do the most basic contras we can possibly come up with that involve no partner changes. In other words, they're generally proper contras without a partner change, and the reason I like to do that is when you get small children on the floor, they can get a little nervous about losing their dads or their mothers or their partners. So we do no partner change or change contras. The ones that I like the best are the Virginia No Reel, because there's no reel about them. I generally call it the Virginia Unreal because it's a little different for people. And I also like the tunnel contra because invariably when you do a Virginia reel, you get everybody wanting to make an arch no matter what you've asked them to do or not. So the tunnel contra allows everybody to dive through an arch. They're basic and they're very easy to do, and I use a very lively piece of music with them, nothing traditional, and it gets people laughing and hooting and hollering, and they just work very well. At that point, everybody's in groups of 12 people. I say make a circle back with your partner, and we'll do something crazy like the hokey pokey, and I will jump in and do that with them. And again, that's a great way to get people up off the floor that have just been sitting around watching. Invariably, you're going to get people, no, I don't want to do that. And then over the course of the evening, they all start coming in because they know that they are ultimately missing something. So at that point, we'll take another quick break, and when we come back, I kind of diverge at this point, depending on the age of the group. For younger groups, I use very basic trios or triples for a couple of sets. We'll finish up with a simple line dance like the Macarena. It's an old dance, but you cannot go wrong with it. Cotton Eye Joe has been popular. The reason I like trios or triples is because invariably, if you're doing, say, a father-daughter event or a family event, it's always a little difficult to partner people up. So the trios allow people to get together in groups of 3. They can be boy, 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 girl, 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 mixed, tall one in the middle. If there's a dad at an event with 2 short daughters, I make him stand in the middle and hold on to his girls that way. And we just do some very basic trios, and they are a lot of fun. If you don't know what a trio is, again, go next door and buy that book. But a trio is lines of 3 facing lines of 3 in a wagon wheel formation around the group. Sicilian circles are always fun too. I'm doing a history event this summer in my township, and I had that on the list for dances, and one of the Italian women came up to me and she said, "You got to tell me about these Sicilian circles." And I said, "I don't know how much they have to do with Italy, but I'd be happy to explain that to you." Older groups, where there are taller people and may end up being able to partner up a little better, I will also use the OXO reel, which is, again, in the book. There's a couple of variations. And one of my all-time favorites is a dance called the Kiwi Ring. And if you were at the CCD dance yesterday, or the CCT dance now, that gets longer and longer every year, doesn't it? I used that yesterday, and that's a fun thing to do. It's a little more difficult to teach square dancers other than regular civilians, but it's still a fun dance. It has a great sense of timing to it. And then we break again. At the point where we come back for the last 15 or 20 minutes, I might go to squares if people want me to, but I like some variety in all of my dance parties. So if I want some silly on the floor, I will go to a dance called, this is crazy stuff here, I'll tell you. Every year I'm playing the trombone a little bit more and more. There it is, right there. If I want a really silly dance on the floor, I will go with a crazy little thing called, let's see, I picked this up at the beginner's party a few years ago, and it's called the Tootie-Ta, and this is nuts. This by Dr. Jean and Friends. You can order it on the internet, and let me see which number this is. This is done in a circle, and there we go. Let's see if we can get this to run. Me and modern electronics, we just don't get along. Nope. Is it volume? Okay, it was. All right. Let's try that again. This is a dance done from circles. Just give me a little touch of volume there. Done from circles with a vine motion to the left. Everybody's calling this out at the same time. And then we start with the vine. Everybody's singing. And for adults to do this, it's hilarious. Elbows back, and then we go again. And we keep moving. And this asks you to do some rather silly stuff. And believe it or not, a lot of the Girl Scouts know this already. Thumbs up, back, feet apart, and we go to the vine. But it gets worse, or better depending on your attitude.
Thumbs up, elbows back, feet apart, knees together.
And eventually, you're so contorted with this that you can barely move. But the whole thing is hilarious, and if you want a good laugh, this is a great way to do this.
Elbows back, feet apart, knees together.
This is the hard one. Bottoms up. And then we vine. And at this point, it's crazy stuff, and it keeps going. Thumbs up.
Elbows back, feet apart, knees together.
That's the hard one. Bottoms up.
Tongue out.
I'm the only one that can't speak properly, but everybody else is doing this. Last one through, I think.
Elbows back, feet apart, knees together.
That's the tough one. Bottoms up.
Tongue out, eyes shut.
And we go from there. But that's a crazy little dance. A lot of adults feel a little intimidated by it. I don't know why. But
Elbows back, feet
last set.
knees together, bottoms up, tongue out, eyes shut, turn around. A tootie-ta.
Anyway, that's the tootie-ta, and it's nuts as far as I'm concerned. Shut this off. There we go. So I'll leave this. People can check that out if they want. It's basically a CD with dances for children on it. But as far as I'm concerned, when you're on the floor with kids, and I'm a big kid, I just want to make sure that everybody's being childlike at one of these things. So that's a crazy little thing that I use. I also like the twist. I always put that in towards the end of the night. There are several variations from Chubby Checker and other artists from the early 60s. The other group that I like for dance music is a group called Brave Combo, and they have a piece of music called Group Dance Epidemic. This is a tape or a CD that you can get via the internet. And they have some great variations on the bunny hop, and they have a conga line here. I love conga lines because I use it as a preset for getting everybody back on the floor and doing a limbo contest. Now, I don't always do the limbo contest when I have adult groups, but when I have lots of kids on the floor, the greatest time killer in the world is a limbo contest. I come to all of these events with poles, with knee pads for the adult pole handlers. And the way I set this up is I assign duties to the adults. I have pole handlers, I have a judge for technique, and I also have a traffic manager, because when kids gang up for a limbo contest, they start shoving each other under the pole. So I have somebody do a stop thing, stop and wait, and I'll let them go through. But when these happen, the cameras come out, the adults are there. There are a few very brave adults that jump in on these things. The ones that have solid weekly appointments with their chiropractors are usually the ones that do that. But in general, what it all boils down to, people, is making sure that your customers have a good time at these events. So my conga line, this is Brave Combo, and the tape is called, the disc is called Group Dance Epidemic. But I use this for the conga line. Let me turn this back on. Hello. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Conga lines are so much fun because they get everybody going. Everybody has a good time. The line winds out of the hall, down the stairs, out into the parking lot, back upstairs again, through the kitchen, and then when I bring them back in for the final thing, we start to turn the circle in, and in, and in, and in, until everybody's into the center, and it's a great place for a massive group hug. So, conga lines are kind of fun. There's a great, let me see, 11, 12. This is a cool little version of the bunny hop. You hear the didgeridoo in the background. Right there. And everybody loves the bunny hop when there's a didgeridoo in the background. So that's a great way to do it. This also has two versions of the Hokey Pokey. They have the go-go version. This is the updated version of the Hokey Pokey. So it's kind of a rock version of the Hokey Pokey. Stop. Please. Pause. And then, just to give you a quick look at this one, this is kind of fun. This is the most rapid version of the chicken dance you will ever hear in your lives. It is absolutely amazing. I shut this off again. Oh, he's there. There we go. Now it works. You have to bang on it a little bit. 6. This thing starts you off nice and slow.
Feet in soil, scratching and pecking for grit. Chickens in the sun.
Chicken. Here we go. Has sort of a south of the border flair to it, rather than the polka flair that you get from the other version. This is the easy part. And here we go. This gets faster and faster and faster till your eyes blur. We're still moving along at a fairly easy pace. A little faster. I wish I could advance this to the end. I don't want to play it all the way through and take up too much time. Off and running. At this point, everyone's running. Here we go. I think you get the idea. But at any rate, this is a great piece of music or sets of music to take to a dance party. There's everything from the hustle, chicken dance, the peanut vendor, which was the conga line. I just love a conga line at these things because you don't need partners for them. I try to come up with as much non-partner stuff as I possibly can, and that's how I conduct an event. Now, at the end of the night, again, like I said, if there are enough children at these things, let's turn that volume down for half a second, please. There we go. At the end of the night, I like to do a limbo, as I was explaining earlier. It's a great way to get people involved. It's a great way to get the parents involved if there are children at these things. Where did we go here? 16. Maybe that's it. It's in the case. Nope. This is the music for the Kiwi ring that I was explaining to you a while ago. Let me start that over again. This is a Scottish reel of some sort with an 80-beat progression done from a circle. Turn it up just a little, please. And the music is so nice, and it's very relaxing. The dance is very easy. Again, it's referenced in Dancing for Busy People. You should be able to get enough from that to learn how to do this. Just very enjoyable, pretty music. And let me see if I can find what I was looking for here. This may or may not be it. There's the old version of the Hokey Pokey, which is now 57 years old.
You put your right foot in, you put your right
Anyway, we're trying to find that piece. Pardon? There's the old chicken dance right there. That's kind of a polka version, and that's still very popular. That works out well for us. I need my guide here to find which one I'm looking for. Sorry about that. Wait. Not it. Can't find it. Okay, we'll skip it for now. But Chubby Checker's Twist, you won't believe how many people get on the floor for a twist. Just a touch. It's a lot of fun. It's good for people to do, unless they have back problems or something. But there's a couple of different versions of the twist that you can do. And it's an amazing dance because there are a lot of people that get out there and have fun. There are people that haven't done that in 4 to 5 years. Sometimes I hear that. So, as far as I'm concerned, the whole idea behind a dance party is variety. And that variety does a couple of things. It gives everybody a sampling of some traditional dancing, some square dancing, some forms of American-style dancing, some down-under dancing, and whatever. But the whole idea is variety. And when you go to a dance party, my best advice to everyone is to bring your inner child with you. Because if you do that, then you're going to have fun, and everybody else is going to have fun too. So again, dance sources came from Cal Campbell's book, Dancing for Busy People, Brave Combo, you can take a look at that afterwards, and Dr. Gene and Friends. And the Brave Combo tape or disc also has a great version of the limbo rock or the limbo dance combined with the hand jive music. So when I'm doing a dance, instead of listening endlessly to Chubby Checker, because sometimes these limbos go on for 25 or 30 minutes, I mix the two of them back and forth so everybody gets a shot at some different music, and the limbos are crazy. So that's what I do for a dance party, and I do have a couple of flyers left for people who came in and don't have one. And at this point, I'd like to give it back to John if he has anything to add. And then, well, you're a lot of help today. Okay, we have a wireless mic that we'll pass around. If anybody has any questions, we would be happy to field those questions. And let's see what you have to ask or or comments or anything else.
I can carry the mic around.
Please.
Right.
That'd be great. Thank you.
See how energetic I am? Does anyone have any feel? Okay, here's one. If you would state your name for the...
Here you go. Take one of
My
those
name's
two.
Laura. You said you use, instead of something traditional for the Virginia no-reel and the tunnel contra, that
Yeah.
you use lively music. Can you give us some
I
examples?
sure can. Sorry. I'll just flick it up a little here. Any better, Cal?
This one.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. This may be it. For my version of the Virginia No Reel, I use a Crown record called Your Cheatin' Heart. And, timing isn't perfect, but the music is certainly very lively, and it's accepted well, and it really gets people rocking. People are clapping, people are jumping. It's a little different from what would normally be used for a Virginia reel, of course. But again, if you listen to it, it's a foot tapper. It gets people moving. And for the tunnel contra, which is the other one that I use, there is music for that, and it's actually on the flip side of the Kiwi ring music, so you get a 2-for-1 out of that. Anybody else? This is what happens when you're preaching to the choir, huh?
Okay, my name is Ken Britton from Montgomery. Several years ago, I bought Cal's book at the recommendation of Wayne Nicholson, who's a local caller in Montgomery. And Wayne has this in a 3-ring binder. Apparently, it came that way years ago.
That's how mine is, and it's falling apart at this point.
So when I went to buy it, I couldn't find the 3-ring binder. Are you going to publish it in the 3-ring binder again?
I guess we could ask Cal to do that and let him take the microphone for a moment.
Okay, let me tell you what happened on that. When we went to work with the cooperation with the National Dance Association, I had it in a 3-ring binder and loose leaf. Okay, that was Xeroxed. The cost of Xeroxing it almost equals the cost of producing it, or the cost of producing it almost exceeded the retail cost. It really gets to the place where you cannot raise the price of a book. This was produced in 1995. The economy has certainly had inflation since then, and you don't dare increase the price of a book. So when I went to the Perfect Bound volume, basically that was produced about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a cost on it. I've got a bunch of books sitting in storage. Even if I reproduce that, I can't increase the cost. That's just rules of thumb of the book. And so what you do, then you go back through and you revise everything. Folks, I'm 71 years old. By the time I sell the rest of those books, they won't be here. But that's the reason, basically. In other words, I felt that the 3-ring binder was fine. NDA would not take that 3-ring binder in the catalog. Bookstores will not take a 3-ring binder. I have, for those of you who want them, I've got a box about 15 left.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's by far the better format. But, you know, the teachers like them. When I talk to teachers, the teachers say we'd rather have the red book.
Yeah.
You know, I don't blame them. I would too.
They sit
That's
flat
what I
on
use.
a bench, too, and they're really good for referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, you know, they lay flat and you can take the pages out of them and
Yep.
do anything you want to with them. But that's the reason why, you know. The last time I did it, it was about approximately 25% difference between my cost and what I was selling. And it had strictly to do to the fact that Xeroxing doubled. Well, you know how it goes. You know, it doubled and then doubled again, and that wiped it out.
Mine is so worn out at this point, I had to buy those little circular reinforcements for the 3-ring binders and stick them all back in again. But the other source of material that's quite excellent, if you don't already subscribe to it, would be the Community Dance Journal that is put out by Dottie Welch and her associates, and you can ask through the CALLERLAB office to be included in that mailing list, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? We'll be happy to answer them. That's what you get for preaching to the choir, huh, John? There we do. We have a gentleman right there.
Fred Moore, Columbus, Ohio. What is the cost? I know a lot of the new people usually do it for free just to get mic time, but what would be, say, the profit group?
The profit group? Oh, you mean for profit? Well, that would usually be corporations or private parties. I always allow a hefty discount for churches and nonprofit groups, but the for-profits, when they come along, whatever the market will bear, and make sure you do a great job and that you come back. And in some cases, if a company's big enough, they can even afford to help you with transportation if they're far enough away, or whatever. So I try to stay within 3 or 4 hours of my house anyway. But when I get a private group, it's great for the pocketbook. But I'm in this half for the fun and sort of for the money at this point in my life. But again, nonprofits always get special consideration, and I do a lot of volunteer work now anyway. So, I lend my time to the Lions organization locally, and the Chamber of Commerce and whatnot. But that's also a great way to network too. I hope that answers your question without actually talking about the money side of it.
Okay, David Fulloway from Maui.
He's always rubbing in the Hawaii stuff. Come on now.
On Maui, there's a corporation called Tihati Corporation that is an entertainment conglomerate who searches for entertainers and entertainment. They have bands available. They have people that put on parties, and they're looking for for more entertainment people.
Right.
So look in your yellow pages and get a hold of those people, and they pretty much set the price. They'll
Correct.
You negotiate with them, and you set your price, and you go with them, and then it can be increased or a set price depending on size. You can let them do it for you.
Dave brings up a good point. I have this may sound like an oxymoron, but I have a talent agent that finds me bookings a couple of times a year, and whenever he calls for those are the best ones all year because he takes a chunk out of what I get, but I always get paid. Sometimes I feel like I'm being paid more than I should. But find yourself a booking agent, someone in your area that deals with talent and entertainers, and sign on with them because these folks are looking for that sort of entertainment. There is always someone who's going to be looking for someone to run a square dance or a folk dance or a dance party, and why not have it be you in your area? So that's a great point, and thank you for bringing that up, because I had skipped right over that. Sir. And how much time do we have here, John? Is it till 2 o'clock or something? Or is it 2:15? Okay. Let's see how anybody... Go ahead, sir.
Ken Britton from Montgomery, Alabama. Just as a comment, at our Alabama website for Alabama Square Dance, Round Dance, we have a section for callers and queuers. So people want to look for and find some people there. All of our local callers and queuers have links to their sites or their name information.
Yeah.
And separately, I had put my information out on a site that puts out caller information. And some of the bookings I got last year, I asked, well, how did you find out about me? And they said, we did a Google search on square dancers in Montgomery, and your name came up.
Exactly. Thank you. That's another great point, and thank you for that. As an association in New England, I belong to Tri-State Callers Association, and it is probably the most active association in New England, and we are maintaining our own website with personality and photo profiles for each of us that wanted to be on it. And I made sure that in my bio I listed dance parties and specializing in absolute beginner parties too. And that has, last week I spoke to a woman who runs a Jewish camp in New Hampshire, and she gave me one date, and she called back the next day and gave me two more, all in August. And they all they're nonprofit, which is fine with me, but that's an excellent way. If your Callers Association does not have a website with personal bios on it, at your next meeting, talk about it, because it's easy to maintain, costs about $20 a year to do that, and it's a great way to get you and your face out there, unless you don't want your face on your bio. So give that a whirl too. Thank you again. Anybody else, please? Cal, please.
Okay, a couple more resources. Vic Cedars has got an excellent listing on callers. I've gotten many calls from many gigs from his list, and I only got on it last fall. They kind of kidded me into it, but I found it to be very useful. If you're looking for a cross section of music, the Lloyd Shaw Foundation produces for me a Dancing for Busy People CD, and basically I don't make much money off of it, but I went through and picked out a cross-section of tunes, mixers, a couple of hoedowns, which I really don't particularly care for, but that's what they had, all these sort of things, and that's also available. And the neat thing about it is the way they do their CDs is they charge up to a certain point, and then you can cram it full until you get the rest of the thing full. I got 20 tunes on it for $22. Can't hardly beat that.
No. Thank you. That is a great resource as well. Questions or comments? Dave?
Yeah, Dave Hoy from Maui again. How many of you do this on a regular basis already, party dances? How many are just starting out? How many of you have attended the community dance, the traditional dance program that CALLERLAB puts on before this convention? The seminar. Yes, Community Dance Party Leader Seminar. How many of you haven't been there yet? Okay, it gives you at least in a day and a half gives you a wealth of information.
It most certainly does.
And you get out there and you dance and you do it, and you get to dance each dance. You get the material on it. You get printouts on how to do it. I would encourage you to come and bring other people.
Thank you again. That is another resource there, and you get to meet and greet with some of our dance leaders that have been doing this for a long time, and these are some of the people that I have the utmost respect for in this industry, and I've made a number of friends over the years by attending these events, and they always mean a lot to me. This year I couldn't. I was visiting family, but again, if you can plan on coming to the convention early, they do this on Saturday and Sunday, and we always have a dance in the afternoon. And if you haven't been to that yet, shame on you. They are just so much fun. It's a lot of laughter, a lot of mistakes, but it's still a lot of fun. And you get to sample a lot of different types of dances in the afternoon. We had some new people come into the dance yesterday, and the smiles are infectious. And that's really what it's all about, being happy, smiling. And again, that brings us back to what Ed talked about this morning. So, be happy and be healthy and have a lot of fun when you do this. If you're just starting out, again, that's a great way to learn. When I first started doing these, I stuck to squares because that was all I dared to do. But eventually you have to break out. You have to be a little bolder and learn something new. And it's better for your mind, and you get a chance to do something else. And the variety is what I love. There's a wealth of material out there for anybody to take advantage of. And if you get a chance to go to an old-fashioned contra, if they have them in your area, do that too, but be prepared to actually swing for once in a while. They're a little different. They're a little more exhausting, but there is nothing like looking someone else in the eye and doing a proper swing for 8 to 16 beats or whatever it's required. It's just a great experience. You want to make sure you're up on your heart medication before you go, but it still is a worthy experience if you have not been to one. I come from New England. That is a hotbed for contra and traditional activities, but even then, some of that stuff that's most basic can be incorporated into your programs.
The CALLERLAB booth in the vendors area has DVDs of the things done at the Beginner Dance Leader Party Seminar for the last 4 or 5 years. So come by there and check and see what we've got for you.
Definitely. Thank you. Definitely. See, I don't pretend to know everything, and you got folks, I thank you for your help and your suggestions. And with that in mind, or I think we can probably wrap up, unless anybody else has anything. If you did not get a flyer, I have a couple of them left, I think. If I don't, then I'd be happy to turn this over to the office. We could probably get some copies made up. If we don't, I think I have one here that don't race down here for it, but I have one left, and then I will turn this over to John. That's the one we need for copies, but you can do that. And in the interest of being green, I printed those on both sides. We've got to save a little paper now and again. Any last-minute comments before we wrap up? Questions? If not, thank you very much for coming in, and thank you to our resident experts that also came in today, because you reminded me of some things that I had forgotten to do. And thanks again, and thank you to John Swindle, too.
And come by the CALLERLAB booth. We've got DVDs there.
All right.